Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to season 4, episode number 5 of the Street Fighter I Got Next community podcast going down today. This fine Sunday afternoon with your host, Shadow Ace, aka Modern Ace, and Sir Retro on the production, aka the Mayor of Macon himself. And we are live and direct. If you guys missed out on the previous episode, please feel free to check them out on Reboot Retrocade Gaming's YouTube channel. Then select the tab that's labeled podcast. A season 1 through 3 playlists of full episodes, all available on YouTube. Over 40 hours worth of content for your listening pleasure. Whether you're cleaning up the house or cleaning up somebody in Street Fighter, cast on real quick. I'm gonna introduce myself. My name is Shadow Ace. I've been a competitive Street Fighter player for over 10 years, starting all the way back to vanilla Street Fighter 4. My introduction into the FGC, and flash forward to now, I host this podcast series going on for about 2 years or so by now, with Sir Retro called I Got Next. And Sir Retro, introduce yourself to the good people. Yeah.
Yo, yo, yo. For those who do know and for those who do not know, especially, I am Sir Retro, the other half of the I Got Next podcast series. Want to thank Shadow Ace for the opportunity to be involved with the series, to be the back end at least, do some little video editing and production part of it, while he be the big voice of reason for the most part, for sure. Of course, I'm T.O. of the Middle Georgia FGC gaming community, known as the Reboot Retrocade Gaming, and also part of the esports organization in the Middle Georgia area known as Swag Out Nerds. Of course, of many hats as so far, I'm also do a little bit of coaching, definitely a little commentating, traveling here and there, public relations in general for the community, and among as many hats just like Shadow Ace. So, of course, thank you for the opportunity to be here. And we are here for our Season 4, 5th episode. And we have went through a lot for multiple years now. It's crazy how we have started. And now that we still here, featuring some of the greatest people that we ever have met, from the locals to international. And excited to what we have a special guest here today. So I'd like to have Shadow Ace to introduce our hombre for today's special guest.
See what you did there, and that was very clever. Yes, indeed. This is a gentleman that's been working very hard for a long time. Week in, week out, puts on great production, great show, always great vibes. Just I can sing their praises for hour, but their work ethic just speaks for themselves. Honestly, he's literally one of the few out there that's just doing it at this level, and it's just such a professional product. At the end of the day, man, I'm proud to bring on Hispanic at the Disco. Hispanic, one of the forerunners of the Stream Team League battle. Here, the man behind the ones and twos. Hispanic, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you guys having me on here. It was a nice little surprise when you bumped at me and asked, so I couldn't say no. And I gotta say real quick, it's crazy that you already got the highlights from Stream Team League up here on the promo, just showing off that modern Jamie. I was like, damn, he already got that. That's crazy. Got that locked
I
in.
Look, that was an amazing moment, man. Amazing moment in time. It was in a moment, and just all the emotions and vibes is all accumulated into one segment. And we were the Stream Team League champions for season 5. What can I say? What can I say, man? It's just the fact that just given the opportunity to even represent and have my application to do that approved is just I was speechless when I said, "Oh wow, I actually got approved to do this," because I know there was like maybe there could have been some controversy about, oh well, it's a modern player and this like, and I know that I think you said you had other modern players try to apply to as well. But the fact that my application got accepted and I was put on a team, and I was like, "Yo, let's make history," and that's exactly what I did. Being one of the, I could I dare say one of the only the modern players that have been on a winning team for the season so far for the seasons.
I mean, I think
The season, or was
first.
there another one?
I don't think in first season or at least the first season of Street Fighter Six, I don't think we had a modern player off the top of my head. Right? I think it was all classic
Okay.
players at that time. We didn't really have anyone sign up the first season. I think you did, but I don't think at that time we had I didn't have a spot for you. But yeah, I think at least in terms of modern players, yeah. I mean, you came in like a bat out of hell and just decided to go undefeated, so and just completely wash everyone. I mean, you had like one or two tough fights, but it was pretty clean.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's just one of those options, one of those things where you look at it as you can look at it in a positive light or a negative light, and some people choose to see it different. So, the fact that I was able to go out there, represent, do what I needed to do with arguably one of the worst characters to play in modern. So it was I was glad I was able to put on a good show for there and just represent. Big shout outs to Too Tough Gaming for having an opportunity to represent them. So in order to understand the present, sometimes we were talking about the good matches and modern this, that, and the third. We got to kind of travel back in time a little bit for this, like the history of Stream Team League. I think this is going to go all the way back to the Stack Bradford days of him running the events with Street Fighter 5. I know now. I mean, even him getting to commentate one of the league events was a surprise because I was like, "Whoa, that's Stack." I was like, "Nah, no way." But getting him to actually come back to commentate one of those events was definitely a real honor, for sure. Because again, I remember him back from the Street Fighter 5 days where he did this kind of full time. So, um, how did you come across as taking over the reins for a Stream Team League, or like what was like an application process you had to do in order to do that? How did you start out?
No, nothing like that. It's basically kind of just the story is I had just started playing Street Fighter Five around that time. I'd been playing fighting games for a while, but I'd never really played a Street Fighter game. I had just been coming off of playing Guilty Gear Strive, and kind of not really like feeling the vibes anymore, especially with how a lot of the patches were going with it. And I was like, hey, I might as well dip my toes into Street Fighter Five because the final patch before like the Luke patch basically had come out. So like Luke had just been introduced, and this was before like they nerfed him the first time, and like that was like the final major patch. And I started playing, and I always been like a grappler player in a lot of different games, and I just latched on to Alex, and I've been playing there, and so I just been getting into the FGC, and I saw Brian F. I'd been following him at the time back when he was like I'd been following him for a long time, and I saw him do his run on Stream Team Battle, on with Zach Bradford and all them, when it was his team, and that run of his inspired me. I was like, damn, I gotta play in this because it's so cool. Um, like it's just such an awesome, like it just looks like such a cool event to be part of a team, and obviously there's like, oh man, I get to play with Brian F, right, like someone like him. But for me, it was just like that experience of being able to be on a team event like that for Street Fighter. And so I joined the Discord, and I just was really active in it and always out there trying to support Stack and whatnot. And obviously, since this was the end of Street Fighter V, he had been in a transitory period where he had been working on a lot of stuff in the background. And at the time, I don't know if you remember. I mean, you've been in the STB Discord, I think, longer than me technically, but if you remember, like there used to be 2 STBs every week, right? One was on Monday with Stack and Andy, and then the other one was on Fridays with Y-Cry and Gorilla Tap at the time. And as kind of stuff kept going and we headed into Street Fighter 6, I had been helping a lot with like background stuff and offering Stack help with anything in the background, just because I loved the event so much. I just wanted to be a part of the community. And eventually, when Street Fighter 6 came out, and it just wasn't vibing with Stack, right? Some changes were made, and Y-Cry and Gorilla Tap moved on. They were doing Wednesday events, but that kind of fell through, and they just kind of went off on their own. And Y-Cry ended up doing a bunch of commentary on his own, and I took over Fridays with Step, and we were running that for a while. And then eventually, it just kind of became like a perfect play, like perfect, I guess, right person at the right place, right? And I was ready to just take over because I already had been making a lot of the lineups, even for the Monday events for Stack ahead of time, and the Friday events. I'd been doing basically both. And eventually, when Stack just said, "Hey, I'm taking a break," because he initially said he was just going to take a break and then come back, and it was just me and Step on Fridays. After a bit, he was just like, "Look, I'm done. Right? Like, I don't want to come back. Like, it's not clicking with me. Even Akuma is not going to help that." And he decided to take a step back. And at that point, he just kind of gave me the reins. He's like, "It's all yours, man. Because like, I trust you with with everything that you're doing." Because like I said, I've been running the Friday events consistently and successfully without any issues. And so that eventually became the main event because it used to be Mondays. And then here we are today, right? And now we've already run 2 Street Fighter leagues since then and whatnot. But that's basically like the long story of how I kind of came in. It was just a slow over time and right person at the right time. So
that's you essentially saved it in that instance. Had it not been you, I don't know if anybody else would have took up the reins and put as much effort as you did, but um, you essentially saved it. Like I said, you saved the Stream Team League, and you still keep it. You're still keeping it going, fresh. Still have a good, healthy community, good amount of viewers that come in. A lot of people are still signing up and playing, and I think it's that engagement. Even if the game might not be everyone's cup of tea, it's the fact that the community is playing and growing from there, and looks like that's what's keeping the interest and the engagement going. Is that it's, oh well, Street Fighter 6 might not be this and this, but hey, this person's cool to talk to. They talk to me in the Discord, they talk to me in the chat, and I'm just going to keep coming back because they're engaging with me, and I feel welcomed within the community. So yeah, sign me up for next event, and there it is. um and just to think, like even with this past Stream Team League, you guys probably have sixth season probably somewhere on the horizon, maybe in the in the near future. And just to think, like, how did you guys manage to like coordinate something like the Stream Team League? Like, you had to reach out to multiple gaming teams and organizations. Like, was there an application process, or Did you have to DM just organizations to see, who could represent your brand or something like that? How did that process go about?
No, it wasn't anything that organized. I would say it was
Mm.
so after the last stream team, after the first Street Fighter Six League, so season 4, right? Lagger actually approached me because I'd been in talks with them and whatnot. Like I've had a lot of like Cuz has played since Street Fighter 5 in Stream Team Battle. We've had a bunch of other, NYC Max, right? We've had a bunch of young Matt Teen got a lot of really, I could argue he got a start in Street Fighter in Stream Team Battle, playing in that, and all those guys are in Lagger now, and they had been in talks with me after the last Stream Team League in season 4. They were like, "Hey, could we sponsor a team? The next time you do this." And I was like, "Oh, and I was like a la like Street Fighter League, like Street Fighter League." And they're like, "Yeah, like something like that would be cool." And I was like, "Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I think that would be really cool." And it kind of just went from there where I was thinking, I was like, oh, okay, well, if we have one team sponsored, it'd be kind of awkward. So maybe we do multiple teams. And like a lot of this was thought up like kind of on the spot. Obviously, I was talking to Andy, I was talking to Stack, I was talking to Step, right? Like we're kind of like the main people that are still in the background. Like even if Stack is obviously you don't see him as often in the chat, like I still ask for his advice, or we all brainstorm together still for ideas, even if it's me and Step really leading the charge. But they'd approached me, and a lot of it was just kind of pulled together. I was just like, look, all I really want is if I can get more people to join in, because initially Street Fighter League was a $50 buy-in, right, for every player. Like if you got chosen, you had to drop $50 for the pot, right, for the $1,000 pot. And I was like, well, now we have a good way to avoid that so that people don't have to pay $50 anymore. They can just we'll have the team sponsor, like they'll pay the $250. And so that's what it ended up being, where each of the teams kind of just helped pay just for the players effectively to play on the event. And we effectively got from where we could, we got Pulse sponsored Breezy. Breezy Man is sponsored by Pulse, so he led Team Pulse. And when I was talking to them and they were interested, they thought it'd be cool because they had just been starting to get into Street Fighter. Again, Lagger had a few options. We ended up with Cuz again, which I was okay with. I was kind of in the middling of like whether or not to bring Cuz back again, just because he had just been a captain in the last season. But it was like, since he was representing his team this time and not himself, I guess technically, I was like, yeah, that's fine. And there was a couple other Lagger players that we got put on that team, like Unimeme. And then same for TTG. TTG, I was in talks with them. They're primarily a Tekken team, but I was like, hey, I mean, if you guys are interested, I'd been in talks with TTG's owner for a while, just for Tekken and stuff, because I'd gotten some of their players to play on just a normal event, like a normal Tekken event. And I was like, hey, if you guys want to sponsor a Street Fighter team, and they're like, oh, I mean, it'd be interesting. We don't really dabble in Street Fighter, but why not? And and obviously you guys just rocked it. And since then, they've been grabbing a lot of Street Fighter players to kind of just join their server and play Street Fighter also. So it's been cool for that. And then finally for CFGC, I had been recommended them by Fake Bruno, who's I don't know if you know, but he was one of the commentators one of the week. But he also is the editor for Trunks. I don't know if you know Trunks FGC, but he also does. Trunks. Yeah, he does editing for him, and he also does commentary and a bunch of stuff. But Bruno's a great guy, and he was like, "Hey, you should talk to the CFGC because they're a college league, right?" And it's esports, and colleges like team sports, right? And since fighting games are very much a single player sport, it can be a little weird to kind of sell that. But if you can get talk to them about Stream Team Battle and see if they'd be interested in that. And so I did. I went over and talked to them. Albie, Hell on Pause, like they were all really good. They were really receptive about it. They're like, yeah, this would be great. And they ended up sponsoring a team as well. And that's kind of how it came together. A lot of it was, just me poking at different teams. I asked STG and a few other guys, just stuff that didn't end up working out just due to timing and things like that. But I think it's been, I think especially with how successful this one's been, I think it's been definitely a good change of pace. And, even throughout the entire time, I was perfectly okay with running any ads for any of them. They didn't end up giving me any ads for me to run for them for the most part throughout the entirety of the league. So, you know, they just ended up sponsoring the team and just like, hey, just call us, just shout us out whenever you can. And, you know, that's what we did. But that's really how it came together. It was kind of just, there was no application process. It was just kind of, hey, do you want to sponsor? I guess. And then, you know, and then that was it. So, and thankfully it all came together. So
hear me out then, if that's the case. What if you were to pitch this idea to other, let me say, like other companies, not gaming, maybe not gaming related, or
Mhm.
maybe something like a company was like, I don't know. Let me see, Kellogg's, something off brand, some company that's like you wouldn't expect for them to do this, but they're actually throwing their interest into the pot, like being sponsored by Chipotle, being sponsored. I would think Chipotle would be interested in it, or
I
being
mean,
sponsored by this company or that company, like a more retail brands on that. Um, of course, with gaming organizations, that's a bit of a more easier route to approach them with the idea. But I don't know, just thinking about it now, it's like, oh, okay, if these companies are fronting, fronting their funds and willing to do that for the teams, then maybe like it could be like at a different level with, I don't know, being sponsored by Waffle House or something, or just something like that. Just yeah, just an idea. But yeah, I think that's a great opportunity. I mean, I like the format for Stream Team League because there's actually a team element. Like you have to talk to your team. Um, and just to think back during the finals, during that whole month of we were going through the season, like we wanted to win. Like we were in the lab, we were watching matches, running training setups, and giving advice against team characters. It also helps that a majority of the characters my teammates had to fight. I played them at some point. Like I have a master Manon, Cammy. Then I dabbled around with Akuma and Blocker. So I was giving advice with my team, and they took action. Vaz, the team captain, put in a lot of work. It's just the whole team did so well, and you could kind of see the end results of that. You saw the end results. You saw it was what 15 to -2. I mean -1.
yeah,
15
it
to
was,
-1. That was
yeah.
super anticlimactic. We wanted. I'm pretty sure the people wanted 14-14 last game, last round, or something, multiple charges, double critical divisions. They wanted the full, shebang bang. But it was different, man. The difference was definitely night and day as far as team communication. And I think that's kind of like one of the most important things for future teams, for future teams, for future events that enter, for the stream team to take a note of that teamwork is very, very, very important. And you could kind of like again tell the difference. So we were talking about Stream Team League. Like how do people sign up to participate in something like that?
I mean, so for our normal events, it's just a matter of joining the Discord, and I'll put out like an announcement being like, "Hey, this is the week we're playing. Like, this is the week of the event," or like, for like our normal ones. It would just be I put up a sign up, react to this post, I'll put you on a list, right? Like I have a list of people who've played before. We have our bots keep track of like when was the last time they played, how many times have they played, right? We try to make sure we try to keep it as even as possible, but we also want to keep the matches even. So uh we keep track of all that information, and it's just really simple like that, right? Like I always tell people like, hey, join the server and then just be on the lookout for a ping whenever the signups go up, and as long as you sign up, I will shoot you a message, right? um if you're new, especially, like we give people priority. But when it comes to league, right, I have the whole like sign up chart and everything. I have that like the Google form and whatnot that I want people to sign out, because the that one's a little bit more of like a full on sign up, just because it's open for the whole month. Like we had it open for a whole month for people to sign up, right? And it just gives us time to look at people's stats themselves, because CFN actually has ways of checking people's individual stats, like through Discord bots and whatnot. So it just lets us like look through a lot of things and gives us time to kind of flesh out how we want the teams to possibly look. Because obviously, I don't know if you knew, right, but all the teams were it was basically just draft drawn essentially in terms of like who was on what team. It was just we did like NFL draft, and everyone just kind of chose players that they saw. They didn't know what rank you were necessarily. They just saw, hey, this is Shadow Ace and they play Modern Jamie, right? That was it. Like, and they're Division 3, right? And so
Yeah.
it was just like that. There was no like this person's Diamond 2 or anything like that. It was just straight up. This is the character. This is the player, and this is the division. Just choose, right? So there was no like inherent like biases or anything like that. It was just what characters do you think would be interesting, and what players you want to grab, and yeah, and it's just that's just usually how it goes for both of those events. Yeah, but for Stream Team League, it's the only time we ever really pull out the official form, and make it all fancy. But for everything else, it's just, hey, just react to this post, and I'll put you on the list. So it's all done by hand.
Okay, so I put the link to the Discord and the main Twitch chat. For those who are listening to the live broadcast, the Discord link is in there. So if you're interested, go ahead and click on that, join the community, sign up for the events, and have a great time. And speaking of which, we were talking about the Stream Team League. I think we have a clip of explaining that with the more audio, like more visual cue on that, giving like a breakdown of what it actually is. So Retro, do you have that clip?
Yep, give me a second. Make sure I pull it up. Let's see. So many things I saved. Oh yeah, right. Okay, all right. So go ahead and transfer y'all guys over to this. So give you a little sneak preview of what Stream Team Battle is all about. Transition 3, 2, 1. Put a link. Sorry, y'all. Transition.
Well, actually, Shadow Ace, I got a question while we're waiting for that. But for you, when did you join the STB Discord? Because I know you've been in for a while. Because you played, I know you played back in Street Fighter 5.
Yeah, this
back in the
had
OG days.
been. This had to been. Oh goodness, I go back in time on this one. I want to. I want to say maybe the year before season 5, the last season, or no, before. I think it was definitely no late season 3. Late season 3 is when I think I found out about it, and then from there I ended up joining the Discord and signing up for an event, and I ended up. I do remember I ended up making up on a team, and our team won. And coincidentally enough, the majority of I've teamed up with Vaz so many times, but I've never actually really talked to Vaz until this recent Steam Team League. I think this is the most I've ever talked with him. But we've teamed up before, in previous events. He was the captain. So that's why I was like, that's what makes it kind of funny, because like, yeah, we teamed up before, and it's like, oh, okay. He might not remember like that, but it was, yeah. I've had him on my team like at least 2 or 3 times, and we just kind of. I don't think he was a leader on one of the teams, but we were just all there.
Right,
But
right.
All right.
yeah, I think you got the clip ready. Okay.
Yeah, I got it. Mm-hmm.
Stream Team Battle X is a 5-on-5 event that is open to all players across all experience levels. Players compete in divisions of similar level, and their score in the set is added to their team's overall score. Teams have respective voice chats where they are encouraged to coach, collaborate, and cheer each other on throughout the event. The first 4 divisions are first to 3, and last division is first to 5. Surrendering a perfect costs a point for your team's score, adding to the unpredictability and excitement. If neither team hits 15 by the end of Division 1, we then spin a Wheel of Fire that randomly selects one of the divisions for an instant run back. This set is run as a first to 5 or until one team reaches 15. If neither team hits 15 by the end of the first to 5, then the wheel is spun again until a team wins. One final wrinkle is the charge mechanic. Once per event, if you're on a hot streak or feeling desperate, you may declare your next game to be charged, which gives you an additional point if you win the game, but you'll lose a point from your team's overall score if you lose, so handle it with care. We also offer awesome customization options for players who keep coming back and are active in the Discord. You can mix and match many of these customizations so that when you're selected to play in an event, you can show off your colors to others watching. Many of these customizations are won through winning sets on Stream Team Battle proper, by completing objectives during an event, or by playing sets against other players in the arena. We also have some great art from some of the FGC's finest artists up for grabs. So if you're interested in playing in an event, please join the Discord. You can sign up by going to our signups channel and reacting whenever a new post is sent up after an event ends. It's a great community that is constantly growing with many great players of all skill levels. And as a final note, if you're interested in putting your own team together to play in STBX, please get in touch with me, Hispanic at the Disco, either on Discord or through Twitter/X. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you at our next event.
Okay.
Right, there it is. There it is. That's very, very informative video. Clean cut. Possible. It's yeah, I mean, great experience, man. Even if it's just a practice, just being in that environment, being able to socialize, and communicate, and being a part of something that can kind of boost your morale, boost motivation, for some players to actually actively compete. That's just I don't know any other event that's doing it just like this. So guys definitely have that legacy status, just building that bridge. Building the bridge and getting new players outside. So the fact that it was an honor to compete and be selected for the season 5 league, I would like to see the teams that could be selected for season 6. That's also a thing of there. But you mentioned a couple of individuals earlier, so just to know the staff directly here. What's the current staff of Stream Team League? I know you and Step seem to be the forefront here, but I will always like to try and acknowledge the full team, because, like, again, teamwork makes the dream work. So, who is the current the staff of Stream Team League?
Yeah, I mean it's really I do most of the setup in terms of like DMing people and getting the team set up, but all the and I don't run the stream itself, but all the technical stuff in the background, the gambling RAM, the chat, so you can hear people's voices when they're talking, and the stat line, right, like the stat stuff, so you can see like how people have played before in the past. That's all Step. He runs all that at least, and he made that stat chart website. The other person is Andy. Andy's expanding man. He's been running. I mean, he used to be one of the co-commentators with a Stack. He's made the NBA Jam, the STP Jam video. He made all the bots and everything in the background. Like every cool thing that you see in the background that's working is all Andy. He made all of that out of the kindness of his heart. And then Stack's kind of still in the background, right? Stack sometimes makes us some art here and there, but he's mostly just asking, giving advice. Like he's usually also helpful at grabbing certain players, since Stack kind of is still in the in with a lot of like the higher named players. I've been able to contact a lot of them and kind of become friends with a decent amount of them, but Stack is always he's got his presence, so it's easy for him to come out and be like, hey, do you want to play on Stream Team Battle? And usually people will say yes to him, so.
Okay.
It's usually always there. So that's about the staff really. So
Okay. All right. Well, that's again, you guys, week in and week out, have been putting on a great show, great productions. Nothing you've never heard of, nothing you haven't heard of before. But I am going to just pitch this idea out here because it is probably something you haven't heard of before. Maybe you have. I've done this before, and I've said it before, and I guess I got to say it again. Modern versus Classic Stream Team League. I'm just saying. I'm just
I
going
mean,
out there.
I'm not
What's
against
up?
anything. I mean, just like is in the video, right? Like I've become a lot more open. I mean, I always was open to this, but I've tried to make sure people are aware. Like, if you have a team of 5 players that you want to pull together, if it doesn't have to be obviously like traditionally, Stream Team Battle has always been about having a high level coach with people that are sequentially higher rank, right? Starting from Division 5, that is like generally, at least back in Street Fighter 5, it was like rookie, bronze, silver, gold. Now, obviously, with kind of how placements have been, it's usually platinum, that's like Division 5, and then moves your way all the way up to like higher level masters, with 2K MR masters being like the Division 1. But we've had multiple events where it's been all masters, or a mixture of different things, and I'm totally open with that. I have no issues with doing those kinds of events. It's just a matter of like, I need to we just need to coordinate. So just, I'm always down to have like I'd be down to have a all masters versus all, or like all classic versus all modern. I have no problem with that at all. It's just more excitement and more fun events to watch. So
Okay. Well, in that case, you
hit me up
can.
whenever.
I, we could definitely, make something happen. Here, I mean, I got one of my fellow moderns in the chat, so that's 2 right now, and of course they can't say no. So that's so now we just need 3 more, right? That's to make to build the team. Okay, all right. So I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep that in the back of the back of the old noggin. But I think that'd be a very interesting event for sure. I think it will definitely get a lot of eyes on something like that, because like, what, modern versus classic? How? What the heck? Okay, but yeah, we'll definitely chop up shop about that. But yeah, we mentioned earlier, so I'm going to segue into the next uh question here. We mentioned earlier about building and maintaining an FGC community here, and we talked about this in the past about how being a tournament organizer is essentially a job, volunteer work, but you just get your own thoughts, just to get your own thoughts on how keep communities thriving, like how to keep people coming back, like just looking at what you've already accomplished, like with weekly events, coordination, finding commentators, and setting up teams on a weekly basis. That can be a proving task. Like, how do you manage that? Because essentially, that is good customer service. That's great customer service. But how do you how do you manage that on your end?
I mean, for me, is for the longest time, obviously STB. I mean, you mentioned it, obviously. Like, I don't want to say like, oh man, I saved Stream Team Battle, but I want to be. I didn't want to die, right? And it had been bleeding. It had been dying a slow death ever since Stack had stepped away, but he hadn't like fully stepped away. He'd been taking a break, so it was this weird limbo we were in for a long time. And even now, right, with the Twitch and the Discord, right, it's never been like, I don't want to. It's been stagnant, but in the sense that a lot of the people that had been in that server that no longer play Street Fighter 6, right? People started leaving, but we've had a lot of new people come in that do play Street Fighter 6, right? So it's kind of been evening out, and it's been slowly kind of moving up in a slight upward trajectory. But I was always expecting it to be like that, and the main way I've been just trying to like kind of make sure people keep coming back and keep signing up, as I've you can ask anyone who's played before. I make sure to go after an event and just thank everyone for showing up, right? I'll personally send them a DM. I make sure to I get everyone paid as fast as possible, right? The moment I get everyone's information, I send the money immediately, whatever there might be, and I just try to make it as friendly as possible, right? Like the production, we try to keep the production high and interesting. We try to try to make it as engaging as possible, uh, and so that people, even though they might not be like, in terms of like things that are happening on screen to gameplay time, I'd probably argue that there's more time not watching matches happen more than there are, right? Even if those matches go 3-2 or whatever. But it's being able to like keep people engaged, keep people interested, give them prizes for winning and losing, even if their whole team doesn't win, right? Like, that's why we have the chests, that's why we have all the cool titles, all the stuff that lets people kind of make their own mark in our event. And I think that's definitely helped a lot, in kind of in the micro sense. But overall, I think it's just been mostly just trying to make sure everyone just feels welcome. Like, just make sure everyone, like, hey, just try it once, right? Tell us what you think. And I try my best to make sure they get put on a good team. And sometimes you get your ass entirely beat, and it'd be like that. But as long as everyone had a good time, that's what matters to me. And I always try to make sure that is the case when possible.
And that is a key. I think that's definitely a key element, for sure, to getting people to stay around. Yeah, there's levels to it, of course. If they decide to take a more competitive angle and want to kind of ascend their gameplay, there is that option available for that support. We also want to make sure that the people who enter these events and the people who are watching the events, they want to make sure that's a great product, because it does show that you care. You acknowledging people during the chat. Hey, there's this person. There's shout outs to Spilly Bob and and stuff like that. It's just good to just to have that recognition, because they know that they're going to come back the week after, and they'll get the same experience. And if you're just all business and just like, yeah, you don't recognize this person and don't even acknowledge or talk to people, I don't think people would want to be around that type of element, for sure. So it's definitely being more engaging is sort of that knowledge gap, this knowledge thing, thinking that, hey, I know that if I go to this stream channel, I can say hi to this person, and they're gonna say hi back to me, or so things of that nature. So it's the little things, but they do add up over time, because it'll keep people coming back. So that's kind of one of the things, is like, if I was on commentary and in the future, I would just say, hey to this person, there's this person, stuff like that, and hope you're enjoying the show and stuff like that. So we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. I definitely think there's more growth on the way. For sure, you guys get consistent numbers week in and week. So that's just the growth to all the work you've put in. And for retro, for you've been a TO veteran for quite some time too, as well, within your offline scene. What's the secret for keeping the glue together? To making sure your scene is good and healthy as well.
I would say the number one thing, and I treat it in many ways. Treat it. I say in many ways, probably in previous episodes, but treat it as a community. And I would basically just if people in the game community are interested in saying hey, I want to play this game, or I want to try this game out, to where they, hey, can I try to commentate, or can I try to stream, or this and that third, you allow them to get involved. You allow them to try to bring a setup or something. I say to keep this is pretty much the seeds of communication. This is communication, connecting, and I'm trying to think of the third C. But but yeah, the best like is those C's like that. Pretty much like one of the key things, because now I can testify, because the fact that we've been around now for Reboot Retrocade gaming, we've been around for probably 6 years at least. But overall, the Middle Georgia scene, since I would say is revival, because the Middle Georgia FGC did exist on many ways, but not as long as consistently, as we are now. But we've been around for 8 years since the actual Reboot venue opened up, and we're still here to this day. We've gone from just getting together just to bring games and have the same interests of what games we like to play and stuff like that, to having a little competition here and there, to now we're like going to Waffle House and doing movie nights and going to events. Like I said, we actually have been traveling to so many events together for the past couple of years in general, like going beyond just Georgia. We're going to like other states and countries. But I said the core of it is that you have people that have same interests as you. You learn to treat them with respect, and you give them the opportunity to, get involved when they want to, and you make sure you don't try to do anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. And I think that's a lot that I hone in on our players in our area. And as you can see now, for example, you got Mundo, you got Chato, you have FTC Chris, Astro, like you have these people that half the time, like Mundo came in a couple of years ago, and now and it had been almost 2 years, and now like that dude's been contributing and supporting and helping out in tournaments. And if I need a break, he's there. And shout outs to him. Shout outs to Visk and Ducky. We do online tournaments. If I'm like, oh man, I don't have this and that, and they're like, oh, I got a computer, I got this. I say, hey, well, go ahead and go go ahead and give it a shot. Try to commentate, try to do this and that. Encourage those people. And that's now they're taking they in their climates at night right now. And I'm like, it went from them just not sure what to do or how to get involved to now, hey man, I'm at the climax, I'm playing top whatever, blah blah blah. I had the best time of my life. And it's crazy how that transition happened. And like I said, the thing is that giving people opportunity to get involved and communicate with them and encourage them. That's probably technically the third C, but giving that courage to step up, because to run the scene and do it especially by yourself and try to be a lone wolf, that wears you out. And in the long run, it really could cause a decline in the in the community, and then you don't really have community anymore. So to maintain it, and then it's basically like I said, set a guideline to for how to treat people in the community, and you never know, you might get people from outside of your area to say, hey, I heard about this tournament, I heard about this thing, what's it all about, blah blah, and next they give each other rides to events, or hey, let's go to the movies, let's go hang out, or this and that third. So the thing is, like I said, is just treating people well, respect, having that communication, encouraging them, connecting with them, as well. And it's not easy. It's not easy. You can ask any TO, and of course I ask Hispanic and ask you, Chavez, how it has been easy to keep a scene around, even as long as like at least a year. Some scenes they be there for a few weeks and a few months, and then as they disappear. And so that's pretty much what I say as what it can keep a not only build a community but also maintain it. The healthy way, at least.
No, for sure. That's. I mean, again, that's general customer service, man. You always want great customer service. For sure, you wouldn't want to deal with someone that's difficult, right? You want to again make sure that you're outputting the best product that you can do, that like, as your best effort. And over time, there are moments where you kind of put yourself in real life burnout because you are trying your best to make sure this, that, and the third happens, and you're trying to take care of your scene, which is why breaks are important too. Like going on vacation, taking some time away. Let people know, they'll understand. You come back, you refreshed, and you're ready to go. So the thing about it is just communication is kind of like the big thing, I would say, for sure. And just to show people that you actually care, that you're not here to just to try to make a profit, that you actually want to be involved, you want to meet new people, you want to make these friends. And there's been so many opportunities that have come just from being within this community, within FGC, like so many job opportunities, interviews, social, just networking.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's a lot out here that's available, and that's why I had thought earlier. We thought back to the Steam Team League, the Stream Team League, organization that could potentially put up and sponsor the players for the season. And I'm like, dang, you know what would be? I was like, you know, what would be interesting if this company did this, and you get sponsored by El Polio Local or something like that. It's one of those things where you just never know, right? You never know who's watching. You never know who's um, who may have interest in doing it, but just don't know how to proceed with the steps forward in
Mm-hmm.
order to do that. And I think that because Stream Team League is kind of like one of the few that has this type of format, has this type of community that has grown and that is continually keep growing. I think more opportunities for sure will open up in the future. I'm sure Hispanic has gotten DMs about, hey, check this out, or hey, this person wants to do
Mm-hmm.
this, or something like that, that they have to go through to make decisions with the team and see if they want to proceed forward with that. And that's just the nature of the business, man. It's just about what you get. I mean, they see something that's there potential wise, they're going to try to say, hey, let's work with them and let's build this opportunity. So yeah, that's primarily it. It's just great customer service overall there. But I have to ask, for some things, for you Hispanic, for you and the others to put together these packages, these stats, making sure this goes live, and it's just two people, right? I think is there someone in the background that's working with the commentators, or you guys are just doing both, multitasking, like with the slides and the productions, and like we're going to ad breaks, and you guys are all doing that at the helm, right?
Yeah, I mean, I run everything on the stream. I run, right, like all the
Okay.
slide changes, all the giving out the chests, all that stuff. That's all me running that. But the stuff in the background, generally, when it's me and Step, right? Step is usually commentating and then also running like the voices, showing up whenever people win, and the gambling ram. But whenever we have another commentator on, as a guest, Step is usually in the background. He's the one running Gambling Ram, and the voice is in the background. He's not commentating, but we'll have another commentator whose his focus is just to commentate. My focus is commentating and the stream, and then Step can take a break and just focus on just the Gambling Ram and stuff. But generally, obviously, most times it's just me and Step commentating. But for Stream Team League this time around, Step was very vocal. He was very happy to take a break and take a step back and just run the stuff in the background while we let other people kind of have a good time and commentate here. So,
All right. Well, in that case, sign me up for the next one then.
yeah,
Yeah.
hey, dude. I mean, I got a lot of people who are interested, and I wouldn't mind having you on either, dude. So,
Say it's a waiting list. That's what I'm talking about. I'm glad that there's a waiting list. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I'm glad that you
Mm-hmm.
guys are able. You have that pool of talent to pull from, and it just helps out their profile. And I like that. I like that there's a waiting list. So if I got to be number 8 or number 10 in line, then let me be number 8 or 10 in line. Then it is.
You
I
know,
just keep that in the air. Hey man, let me one day commentate on the Stream Team League with you guys. Yo.
of
I
course,
think
man.
that would be
Of
fun.
course.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, what is your motivation to keep this going, to keep this product moving along?
Hmm.
I just like it a lot. I mean, it's like I said, like I was so it's crazy because it wasn't even Stack's video, right? It was Brian F's run of Stream Team Battle that just really inspired me to like just like that. I just love the event. I mean, I played in it multiple times myself, right? I played in like at least I want to say 4 or 5 events during Street Fighter 5, and I played in at least like 3 or 4 during Street Fighter 6 when it first came out. Um, I loved it. I never got to play in Stream Team League myself, but I did play in the normal Stream Team Battle events, right? And it, I don't know what else to say. It's just there's something about it that I just liked how it was run. I liked how it was like how it everything kind of came together. I just loved how interesting it was for all of it to just like be set up in a way where everything matters in some form or fashion, right? Like every person, how they play, even if you only get 1 point, it matters, right? Like you contribute to your team to make it because it's a relay race, right? At the end of the day, how it's kind of set up, and I just it just resonated with me. I don't know, because no one else had been doing it. No one else is still doing it to this day, right? It's just really us. There's other team events now, like youngster Joseph. He's been doing a bunch of team events now with 3v3s. There was a recent Sajam Slam as well, right? Sajam's been doing his thing, which I'm very happy. I'm happy a lot of people are finally showing up and just showing that, like, hey, team events are awesome. And for me, it's I want everyone to just experience what Stream Team Battle is, as a whole, right? I want them to know what it's like to be, like my I've told everyone I've talked to, it's like my purpose for Stream Team Battle has always been to show, like, that, like, the lower level players, like people who are just starting off, that, like, hey, the guys that you watch online, like Kaba, Knuckle Do, IDOM, right? People that have played on Stream Team Battle before, right? Like they're normal people. Like they're just dudes, right? They're not like these gods that are at ECT and grand finals, right? Like these untouchable people. Like, don't talk to me, peasant. Like, they're normal guys, right? And they're a lot of them are really are willing to coach people, right? And like and help. And I think that gives them a way to give back to the community and really, obviously help their own brand. But it also just gives a way for for everyone to really just experience, like, see what, like, get that hands-on experience with someone who's more experienced than they are. Even if it's not like the pro level player, it could be someone else that's a high level person on their team as well, right? And I obviously, I'm sure you got all of that throughout the entirety of Stream Team League. I mean, you were helping a lot of the lower level ranked players as well. And that's the intention, right? That's the intention for this, is for everyone to grow as players. And so it's fun. It's it just that really resonated with me on why, like, I just keep doing it, and I just wanted to keep going. So, and I want more people to be a part of it. I want more people to see it and be like, this is a cool event. This is something that we should, even if other people end up doing it themselves, like, it's whatever to me. Like, I just want more people to experience it and have a good time and just have more of a blast on these events, because it just keeps getting better and better, honestly.
And someone once told me to, someone once told me that support what you claim to love. Yeah.
Yep.
A very wise, mayor once relayed that message to me, and it's been stuck in my mind ever since, because you can see it. You can see the passion. You can see effort. It's not just something. It's not just something you do just because it's there, or just because you happen to be okay at it at best. It's something that you are putting effort towards. It's something that putting time into, and you're outputting a great product because of that. It's not just like, oh, okay, I don't see the results, so I'm backing out, or I don't want to do this no more, so I'm just leaving. Um, it's something that you are enjoying. So it's content creating, but at the same time, you're content creating because you care enough to make something like this happen. So that's the yeah, that would be kind of like my takeaway from what you just said there, and I could ask Retro, that same question, like what motivates him to, do what he does. Like, he puts on his events for his scene in his area, and that asks me, I guess, Retro, I could ask you that same question, like, what is your motivation for, keep doing what you're doing?
I mean, if you ask me, probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I would say, you know, I probably wouldn't have an answer, but I would say now, looking at things and looking at the years that we've been around, confidentially, I can definitely say, is that it's the people here are willing to keep coming back. It's people outside of here are willing to come through, as that, the locals, in the local businesses here, they get worried when we're not here. It's like we feel like we're needed now, and I think for me, though, that willing to do that, because like I said, people can beg all they want, and I probably would not decide to come back. But what makes me do that and to keep going is, what has it done for me when I helped build a community? You know, how did it change me for in a good way? And do I get that feeling every time I do an event, or do I get that feeling every time we do something together in general? And the answer is yeah. Like the every time we get together, whether casual for a tournament, is the moments where everyone is get together, have some good laughs, have a good time. Excited to play the games that excited to sit down and hang out, excited to have just enjoy themselves. And of course, for me, I love fighting games. I love competition. I love the getting together to have fun with it, and having so many people who have that same interest as me and willing to keep it doing again. In addition to and not just me, that encouraged me to keep it going for the next event. That encouraged me to even try to improve and do better for the next event. Because I have the passion, I would say, and desire to drive to make the scene bigger. Just have it just feel a group of people who just like to get together and play games and have a good time. And that result always happen pretty much every time, and I always have a good feeling every time I step in the scene. Of course, there's ups and downs, but the ups are more than the downs, and I think that helps me with keeping motivated to keep things going. Because along the ratio of good to bad is really strong on the good side, at least. That says, okay, man, I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying myself. Yeah, the equipment didn't work well, or the money I didn't pay for this, or I didn't. The stream didn't turn out well, or whatever. But then, hey, everyone say they love this event. They want to come back next time, and they do this, and they want to check it out. And I like to play fighting games, even though I want to take a break from it. That still pushed me to say, all right, well, I'll see you guys next month. I'll let you know next event. Well, Tuesday and Thursdays we'll have this event. We'll have this casual. Da da da. And like I said, we talked about earlier, when it came to building the scene and stuff, people were encouraged themselves to say, hey, let me know if you need some help. Let me know if you want to keep doing this. I'll help you out. Or I'll get you to help you get that goal. We do it together. That's part of motivation, for both external and internal, to keep it going. So that's for even on streaming outside of the FGC stuff, I may not have 100 viewers or 20 or not even 20 views at a time, but a few people that want to watch and like what I do, that's enough for me to say, you know what, and then I'll keep it going. But if I'm sufficient and like enjoying what I love to do, and like I said, support what I claim to love.
Exactly. That's what it all circles back to. It's just being the best person you can be in, when you're putting forth your best effort. Move on to the next topic here. And I think this one was actually up on the Twitterverse for quite a while. I think, what was the recent event where I guess international players were flying out to, and there was a lot of upsets in the pool, and I think, what was it?
I think it was
Marine had ended up
Or
beating like Problem Mixing Pools.
was it East Coast
Singapore?
Throwdown? No,
What was
Singapore.
that
Right?
one? There was both, really, to be fair.
I think they happened the same weekend. I think it was East Coast Throwdown because Young Mac Team, shouts to him, beat Angry Bird, and then at the same time, Marine beat Problem X.
Yeah, that was ECT. Yeah.
Okay.
ECT,
Yeah.
okay.
And Singapore
And
had
that
a
was
bunch
like
of Singapore had a bunch of the nephew went in and won, almost won the whole thing. He got second place.
Okay.
Qualified. But he was the only American out there.
Oh wow, yeah.
There was a bunch of pools, like crazy matches in pool, like Zen and I think Shuto and like a bunch of other players. So like there was a lot of people who got like knocked out into losers early on, just due to the seating being very weird. But still, it was a very interesting event. A lot of killers.
Mm-hmm. And then the game like this, that's kind of like one of the things that I kept seeing being pointed out was why is this first to two, or why it should always be it should be first to three. Oh, but that bears the question. Instead of Street Fighter Six, just for tournaments sakes alone. I mean, I guess for exhibition, it's a bit of a different story. But for Street Fighter Six, should it be first to two or first to three? So first to two is like what 6 minutes, maybe less if your opponent gets packed up even faster. But with this being like the most offensively expressive game and damage kind of racks up fast, I mean, I don't mind the first to three, but think about it like this. What if you were up 2-0 or 2-1 and then your opponent brings it back two straight or three reverse sweep? Because the format was first to two, you got to hold it. You heard someone say, that man, this should have been first to two. And to put the cherry on top, it was probably to get out of pools.
Right.
Like the mechanics of the game, it kind of like it feels like it screams first to three. When your drive gauge is tied to your offense and defense, you have to manage all of that. If that was different, if the drive gauge wasn't tied to your defensive bar, like your defense, then I could see it as a first to two. But first to three, I think would kind of be the format here, yo. But what do you guys think, Hispanic? I'll start with you.
I think it depends on a lot of different things, right? So, like, one of the main reasons why Strive went from first to two to first to three was due to the fact that it was basically established that the devs, Daisuke and whatnot, they wanted the game to be explosive, right? We were like they kept doubling down on it, right? People were asking for damage nerfs, people were asking for changes, and all they did was like, okay, everyone does more damage now, right? Everyone has more tools to open you up now, and those games go by very fast, right? Like you can get hit, you get counter hit by certain moves, and you're just dead, especially if your opponent has full meter, right? And the other big difference with that one is, you have a defensive meter that is like burst, right? That doesn't automatically reset between rounds, right? And that's one of your main defensive tools in the game. Not to mention your other defensive tools, which are your meter, also reset between rounds. And Street Fighter isn't like that, right? Street Fighter had you reset drive meter between every round. You keep super meter throughout between rounds, right? Which means you always have your defensive options and you always have different things. Like you have your tools at the beginning of every match. And I think the best way to really decide on whether or not this needs to go to first to two or first to three would be to wait one more patch and kind of just see what the Street Fighter devs want the game to be. I don't think their intention is for Bison to nuke you, right? I don't, especially with some of the most baby brain dead combos, like just Toys R Us type combos where it's just anyone can do, like baby's first game type shit. And I don't think that's their intention necessarily. Obviously, Bison's out, and people are like, "Why don't they just emergency patch him?" Because that's not what they want to do, right? They don't want to make knee jerk reactions. And I think it's the same thing here. I do know that there's been a lot of pretty good evidence. I know, like Brian F was talking about this, where people have been talking about that in first to threes comparatively to first to two. I think it's like a 15% difference in terms of who wins comparatively if it had been a first to two. Like how many people were down 0-2 and then brought it back 3-0 right after that, and it's like 15% difference, which is a significant amount of people, right? That's a significant amount of games. So in that sense, I definitely understand the argument that like maybe this should be first to three because of that. But I think it just depends on them waiting on us waiting on another month to see where they want. Because if Bison gets gutted, right? Not gutted necessarily, but they tone down his damage to be reasonable, and a couple, and maybe meter gain goes down because supers are a huge part of that of why people explode so much, right? Then it won't be it'll be a non-issue. Then people will be complaining that first threes are too long, right? Like it's too much because every match takes forever, right? So I think that's a decision that needs to be made by Capcom themselves, right, for the Pro Tour, because Pro Tour is first to two, right, until top 8 anyways. So even if individual tournaments change, the Pro Tour has to be that way as per rules. And I think it's going to depend on how they end up balancing stuff. If they keep everything the same way and double down and like, you know what, everyone does Marissa damage, screw it, right? Like everyone puts you in a one touch situation when you're when you're at 80% health. Then then we're playing Strive, and at that point, screw it. And they make it first to 3. But I think until we hit that point, until we have that data, I don't think there's any reason to switch from first to 2 to first to 3 at this point. Like I get it as a competitor, it sucks, but I don't think I think that we should. I think that that's a decision that needs to wait a little bit more before, you know, we just officially change to that, right? I don't think this is the same as a Strive situation on like why we should go from first to 2 to first to 3. Like very intrinsically different reasons for both those games to be at that level. So.
And then that kind of segue that kind of brought me back to the mind of when Dragon Ball when the Dragon Ball Z games when that was first to 3, how those tournaments took like an eternity to finish. Simply because the damage and the stalling in that game was kind of like ridiculously long, and and I think they did first to 3 for that for a little bit, and then I guess just with first to 2, maybe went back to first to 2, but I remember Dragon Ball Z being first to 3 for some reason. How do I remember that? Was that during the beginning of the game?
Well, what for fighters, right?
Yeah.
I want to say that was near the beginning, but
Okay.
once people optimized that game, I mean, you were dying so fast, so like everyone was just exploding. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that was early on.
Okay, yeah, that was okay. Yeah, so I remember it kind of like once things got kind of fleshed out a little bit, and like you said, the damage kind of took a different toll. Um, but yeah, for the format, again, I guess that would just be a TO call. Then I think about it as the thing where you have different resources on top of like if you're running multiple events, the venue, because I think one of the posts was saying something to the effect of, you know what, you're a TO, right? So I dare you to run other games and then make your Street Fighter 6 first to 3 all the way, and then report back to me. I'm like, I don't think that'll be too much of a difference. Honestly, that may be like an extra 6 minutes, 6 7 minutes, maybe. Because again,
Yeah,
I feel like the game it kind of it's short. I feel like it's short. I do
yeah. I
feel
mean,
like Fighter
it
6 is short.
I mean, even then, I mean, it's not like every game is going down to the wire generally, but I don't think it wouldn't necessarily be too much of an issue. I mean, again, look at Strive. I mean, again, their games are faster overall, anyways. But even Strive, it does first to 3, and has been doing it for years, and it's not completely destroyed their ability to run major events. I mean, Evo does it every year, right?
Mhm.
And Guilty Gear keeps growing at Evo, right? And they're able to keep up with everything. Obviously, I'm sure there's hiccups here and there, but it's something that you can do. And they did it at DreamHack, right? DreamHack was first to 3, I believe, the entire way through.
Mhm.
So it is possible, right? I'm not. No, I don't think anyone would say it's not. And I think there is the argument is there for it. I just, for me personally, I just don't think it's. I think TOs that are just like, well, why don't you run it? It's like, dude, come on. Like it's not like people just assume that everything's going to be like a billion times worse. But with the proper training and the right people, it's not. It's you can run stuff like that efficiently. You know, you just got to plan for it. That's all it really is.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, so before I move on to the next topic here, because we're going to go ahead and wrap this interview up. Once again, thank you so much, Hispanic, for coming through and speaking with us today here. So before we open up to the open discussion, like anything you want to talk about, and then we'll kind of hit the ads from there here and getting ready to close this out for this episode 5 here. So if you're just tuning in, you missed out on the beginning of the podcast, do not worry. This again will be archived and uploaded onto the Reboot Retrocade Gaming's YouTube channel here. And Sir Retro's usually really on it as far as making sure sending out announcements and people know that, hey, this episode is now available for listening pleasure. If you missed out on the live broadcast, you could check this out here. And he has that link up ready for you. Usually go time about like 12 noon next business day. So I guess that Monday, he may have that up there ready here. But let's get into that topic, and then we can open up the floor for anything else that like to be discussed here. So we're talking. So one of the topics here was like past entries and fighting games, right? So we see that the honeymoon phase is over for Street Fighter Six. Street Fighter Six has been out for over a year now, and people are being, of course, more vocal about how they feel about Street Fighter Six. Have any of you seen the meme where the guy thinks about the previous installment of the game? The new one is already out,
Yeah, and then
like
it's
the
like
Wolverine,
this
the
was
Wolverine
real.
meme.
Oh yeah, that yeah. Or this was real Street Fighter, and then the next game comes out, and then that was real Street Fighter, and then
The circle of
yeah,
life,
yeah, exactly,
like
yeah.
it's got to be a keep cycling thing. There'll be a time where we'll all be old and gray, and now people are going to be singing praises of Six. So,
Yep.
um, for example, the Street Fighter Six, they dreamed of Street Fighter Five. Then when Street Fighter Five arrows that out, they dreamed of four, and then et cetera, et cetera. Why do you think people tend to want to go back to the older titles? The new one is like maybe 6 months to 1 years old.
I think the main thing with a lot of people is it really comes down to ego. I think for a lot of them, and
That's a good word.
I think that's the main thing that hurts a lot of people. And it's the main reason why so many people go back and are like, this was real Street Fighter or this was the because that was when they were big and that's when they were relevant, right? You'll notice that a lot of the players that can adapt to the new game generally don't have a lot of negative things to say about it, like to the point where they're like, we should go back to five, right? Like you don't see Mena RD saying that. You don't see Punk saying that, right? They'll have their complaints about the game, right? But they're also well aware that, hey, this is my livelihood. I need to move on, right? They might say privately like, hey, I like five maybe a bit more, but like but they're still playing six, right? They're still going through it. Could you argue like, oh, well, it's their job? Sure, but you wouldn't play something unless you liked it, right? You wouldn't play something unless like if you were really forcing yourself, I'm sure you could. But I think for a lot of people, like there's just a lot of you can see on Twitter all the time, man. I always see the same people that are complaining about six being the guys who were big in five and they just weren't able to adapt.
Mm.
Right? It's a different game, and Street Fighter has always been a different game every single time. Every game has been almost entirely different. There's always some new main mechanic that everything revolves around. Right? There's always something new. Street Fighter 2, it was all the specials and everything got faster. Right? And then with Street Fighter 3 was parries. Alpha had all the different random super systems and the custom combo stuff. Street Fighter 4 had focus attack and FADC. And then Street Fighter 5 had V triggers and V skills, and now Street Fighter 6 we're back to, and obviously some stuff carries over, but with Street Fighter 6 now we're back to supers from Street Fighter 3, but we also have drive meter, right? We also have drive rush and all that stuff, and people just it's always come down to a matter of who can adapt and who can't. Are there stuff that you can genuinely criticize about six, right, that maybe were handled better in five? 100%. But they're both fundamentally different games, right? They have the Street Fighter name attached to them, but there's a lot of stuff that and there's a lot of stuff that is the same, but there's also a lot of stuff that is significantly different. And I think that gets lost in the translation where people want to go back to the glory days. So
I've taken heat for trying to say I enjoy Street Fighter Five more than six. Not saying six is bad. Uh, there are like you pointed out, there's certain things that people do not enjoy or like enough to take it seriously as a competitive fighter. So they'll just play casually. That's kind of like my wheelhouse of what I'm doing right now. Um, like I'll say for retro, is it fair to say that you did not just this an example, you did not enjoy Street Fighter 4, right? I think it was you didn't really like 4 that much.
Yeah, I mean, subjectively, personally, I didn't. I'm not a big fan of Street Fighter Four. I, however, respect for what
whoa,
it.
whoa, whoa, whoa! Watch out, man! All right, calm down there.
See what I mean?
Speaking on the grandfather now, I mean, I also was never a huge fan of four either, but I don't say it out loud.
Hey, we keep it 100 around here, man. And
I
that's
just got
okay.
big debate.
That's okay, man. Everyone's entitled to what they want to play and enjoy, but they just don't let the words of some to dictate what you want to play. Huh?
Right.
I think that's a big thing. Some people play because it's available. And because there's a community, because that if they enter this tournament, they do get the feeling that they're competing, or they know that if they play this game, they're going to have somebody to play. So I think they're not enjoying the game, but they're playing it because it's available. So they want to play the older titles. They know that the older titles are the ones that get looked down upon, and it's just a whole little cycle. But I think that that's very interesting as far as like people wanting to play because it's there, because it's recent, because it's new, because it's now relevant in the main limelight. And it's just going to keep cycling, and cycling and cycling for the end of time. Street Fighter 7 comes out. There's going to be something in Street Fighter 7 that people don't like because they're so adjusted to the engine of Street Fighter 6. They're going to automatically dictate that game as being better than what 7 is because it's different. The Street Fighter 7, what they got air combos now. Oh, they ain't had that at 6. So, it's things like that. Every entry is kind of making a brand new, bringing over brand new mechanics, brand new changes, packing things, this, that, and the third. Look at Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5, it got what was it? Towards the end of the game that they brought in that really late mechanic. By the time it came out, people were already turned off from the game.
V shift.
God, V shift. There it is.
Yep.
Yes, V shift and V break. They brought that in super late. Now imagine if they had V shift and V break when the game first came out. How different it could have been. They, they did that. I honestly, I'm not sure why they did that. Why they
I'm,
wait so late to bring
I'm gonna
that
tell you
in?
that
But
I'm telling you that Idom probably wouldn't be anywhere near as where he was today. Man, I mean V shift just neutered, like that just ended so many characters' entire careers. Like, Zangief just at that point completely ceased being a real character. Every grappler really just completely targeted certain playstyles super hard. It definitely was an interesting mechanic. Would I say it was implemented well? I would probably argue no, but I'm also biased because I am a grappler. So
I mean, I just wake up and just do V shift.
yeah.
Wake up V shift. It's always was always the, oh my gosh, those are fun times. But just like something like that was universally added in, but late to the game. So that could be the case with something with 6. Maybe they add something in later on with the life cycle. To, I guess, to kind of spice up things a little bit. And now that I think about it, Street Fighter 4 had the same thing because they brought in what red focus and delay wake up. That was like an ultra, so that kind of was like
Yeah,
one of
they
those
also
things where you
the,
had to keep
the,
playing the game.
yeah, they also brought in the extra ultras, right? You had multiple ultras instead of just one, and then they also had the red ultra where you had both. So they did bring in those in the later iterations, and obviously for 5, everyone had another V skill, everyone had another V trigger. Everyone they added V shift like you said, and I'm sure for 6 that they'll probably add. My assumption is we'll get new supers for everyone, right? Everyone's gonna have like multiple supers you can choose from. That or they'll add in some other general mechanic. Maybe they'll add in V shift again. I hope not, but I'm sure that they'll add in some general mechanic, or they'll add in like everyone has like another super, right? I mean, they already added him in for Akuma, arguably, right? Because Akuma's got his like Shin supers that you can only do if you do the taunt. But that just makes me think that they'll probably do it for everyone eventually. Like they'll just actually let you choose different supers, and I think that'll
Yeah,
definitely help.
later down, later
Yeah,
down the
and I think that'll
line.
definitely help with a lot of the I don't know if it'll make a difference in terms of matchups outside of like if X super is invincible and wake up comparatively to others, but like who knows? Definitely could be something that'd be interesting in the future.
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, it's kind of obviously that we're gonna go through the trends of being Super Street Fighter 6, Hyper Street Fighter 6, Omega. Nah, let's stop. But we're gonna arcade edition Street Fighter 6 arcade. Wait, there is an arcade edition, but I feel like there's gonna be another version of the game coming down later down the line that is going to introduce a new mechanic. You said second supers for everybody, selectable supers, um, or like maybe there's a mechanic that involves the drive gauge. Like you go with the classic drive gauge, or you can go with this new system a new variation of the drive gauge, and how, yeah, of course, that's going to change a lot. That's going to actually change the whole game a lot. They if they pay attention to that core mechanic, that's going to affect every character. Because now it's like it's going to feel like you got to learn 20 different new matchups or 25 different new matchups because of that. Oh, which character, which variation of are you going to pick? So things are like that. That's kind of been like one of the traditions of the Street Fighter series is them adding in those new mechanics. So we'll see. We'll definitely see down the line. I say give it like at least one more year until we can get Super Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, I
Give
expect
it.
probably season 3. We'll probably get some. I hope we'll get some big gameplay mechanic change of some sort,
Mhm.
right? Some kind of change to the drive system. Either something added on or just a change in general to the drive system, right? Because I think obviously with like the main issue with 6 that will always be a problem. I think is just the lack of creativity in so many of the characters. The lack of uniqueness of like a player playing said character. And I feel like the only characters that really have that ability are like Rashid. I think Terry, for sure, has enough of an exciting and interesting kit that you can be pretty unique with him. Um, gosh, you know, Ken also with Dragon Lash can be pretty interesting and running and his run stop stuff. Kim, but a lot of characters like Ryu, Bison, Amy in a lot of ways, like they're all very one note characters, right? You have one combo that is your optimal combo, and there's no reason not to do anything else, right? Outside of like very specific situations. And I think that's a lost art in Street Fighter 6. That really hurts it overall. But I don't think it's the end of the world, and I have faith that they will add in some kind of interesting game mechanic that will help you know make every character feel unique, right? Every character feel like have unique and interesting and hard combos that are like more optimal rather than I do drive rush, I do heavy punch, drive rush, heavy kick, heavy punch, drive rush, heavy kick, heavy punch, drive rush, DP level 3, right? And then I just did 7K to you. Like it's just at a certain point, like big number go up is interesting, but like there's that like that interesting of like of having like you have your tournament combos and you have your your optimal combos, right? Like the safe combos that you do in a tournament because they're easy to land, but they might not do as much damage or give you as much oki or whatever. But um, I think pros are squeezing as much as they can out of Street Fighter 6 with the drive system. I just think that they're kind of hitting a wall with certain characters more than others, right? Like Rashid is always finding new. Every other day there's always like something new with Rashid just because he has such a dynamic hit, right? The character is basically playing Marvel 3, but with so many other characters you just don't see it as much, and it's kind of depressing. It's just like you don't see that creativity that you did see before. And that you could argue, maybe it's Modern's fault, because they had to stabilize a lot of things because of they had to compensate for Modern, or it's just them trying to make the game more streamlined and easier for them to balance because everything is a little bit more straightforward, right? But I think we'll get there. I think Street Fighter 6 will become the game that everyone will like, where everyone will be able to be unique in some form or fashion at least. Outside of just like gameplay, or like how they themselves play. There'll be interesting aspects of like how they play the character themselves. So
Then
I
when
have faith.
you Yeah, and then when you look at it, you mentioned modern, right? And at how modern like drop patches that come out for the game, certain characters they get their entire move. Like you see, like if you look at the patch notes, you'll see, well, this combo has been changed to this in modern, and it's like a brand new combo. You check out the modern trials, and you see like change notes on this and stuff. So I feel like yeah, they're definitely experimenting with a lot of things in the game at this moment. So it's kind of like before certain characters didn't have combos in Burnout. Like they didn't really have good combos, modern combos in Burnout. Then a patch came out to address that. They fixed it. So now the characters actually get combos in modern mode. So it was rough for characters to kind of like, if you pick modern, you kind of like hurt yourself even further because you can't really do anything. You can't do too many combos while you're in burnout. So they fixed it so that you can now do such and such, but you can only have access to certain normals just by pressing a certain button just to get another button just to get a normal. Then you got to keep switching back and forth. So it's a lot. It can be a lot, especially at high level, which I always try to like again encourage people to at least try a character just to see how it is because it is a different experience. And I
Yeah,
think that they're they
I,
they are gradually over time making changes and adjustments to it.
right. And I don't think I will say overall, and this I guess will be a small shout out to Strongest Woman, but resident modern hater, and I can understand her reasonings for a lot of the stuff. For me, the only biggest travesty of modern has been the complete changing of certain characters' kits that have been added to the game because they have to compensate for modern, right? Like Bison's scissor kicks being a motion input now is entirely because of modern, right? Because he can't have two different back inputs because of the different strengths, and there's only a heavy, medium, light button on modern,
Mm.
right? Um, same with some of DJ's kit as well, right? Like there's a lot of characters that used to have multiple charge inputs or were mash inputs like Honda and whatnot. Which, to be fair, I think piano inputs being gone is good. I don't think they were ever a good aspect. I don't care what anyone says, but I do think there is a certain loss in how characters are balanced or are played because of that. And if we take Cody, for example, right? Cody's a character where you have to hold down the button and then let go, right, to do his inputs, right? That's going to change, right? You can't do that on modern because he has multiple buttons that are hold input moves, right? So if he's in Street Fighter 6, they got to change his entire kit on how he does that, and how powerful those moves were based and balanced around the way you had to hold the button down, so you lost access to that normal while you were holding it down, right? Um, so in the grander scheme of things, I think modern has been amazing, and I think it's been a great way to bring people in for sure. I just think that the losses in a lot of characters' kits have been felt by a lot of players, and I think that's kind of like just a sad byproduct of it, and it kind of stinks. I don't think that completely denounces modern in the slightest. I do think that there are definitely better ways for them to deal with modern. There's 100% characters that feel built for modern comparatively to other characters, right? Like some characters feel completely worthless to play in modern. You could argue Jamie's one of those characters. I would definitely say that Manon is one of those characters, right? But there are definitely characters that are absolutely bonkers, insanely good on modern, like Luke, like Zangief. You could, Ryu, arguably, Ken's pretty solid, right? Like there's a lot of Chun Li for sure, right?
Mm.
And I think them having to find that balance, I think, will probably be the hardest part here in the future. Uh, right when it comes to Street Fighter 6, how to balance both modern not being better than classic, but then also being a friendly way for people to come in and play the game, but not neutering characters to the extent where they're just shadows of their former selves, right? Who knows? I don't know if what the option would be to solve that issue, but um, I will never downplay modern players, especially. I mean, you guys obviously you even showed it how skillful you can be right throughout all of Stream Team League. I don't think there's any just because someone's playing modern doesn't mean oh well they're cheating, right? Or like oh well they have one button reactions. Like yeah okay well then compensate for that, right? Because they also lose half their kit, right? They lose a lot access to a lot of stuff. So if you
Yeah,
can't deal with the fact that they're also on a handicap, then hold that. But
it is.
it's definitely going to be one of those things that they'll have to figure out. And I can 100% understand the arguments when it comes to why people might not like modern in that sense. But when people just complain about modern because oh it's cheap, blah blah blah, I can't play the same way as always. It's like it's the same complaints you hear about people who have to play against like Zangief, right? Because Zangief forces you to play entirely different than you would play against any other character, right? So
Right.
it's the same thing. I tune that out. I tune any of those kind of complaints out. But I definitely understand the other arguments, and I agree with them in a lot of ways. So who knows, man? I'm hopefully optimistic for the future, and I would also suggest people try out modern, because I got my Zangief to mastered on modern to help a friend to really show them like, hey, you can do this in modern, and now he's probably one of the best modern Zangiefs I know, and he terrorizes me every time I play against him. So it's
What's the name?
Hoisterino is a buddy of mine who plays Zangief.
Modern
So
Geef.
modern Geef,
Okay.
yeah, and it is definitely a completely different way that you have to play against someone like him, just because of the one button supers, the one button air SPDs, things like that. It's a different mindset, and I think that in and of itself is interesting, right? And I like that about modern, even if it can be absolutely aggravating to deal with. So
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Again, you also on top of that of sacrificing your normals. Of course, you get the damage reduction as well in situations where had you had to use the normal or regular version of the move, it would have been enough to take the round. But you decided to go with the modern input. Yes, it does. It honestly it does help with reactions. I feel like it's like an introduction classic. Like you have an introduction. It puts you in situations where if you press this button to react to it, you do get the move. However, you are getting a less damaging version of that move, but you reacted to it, so that's a good thing. You're being aware of it. The next step is just trying to go into classic mode and just trying that out. But some players, it got to a comfort level of, hey, I'm kind of built for this right now, so I'm going to just see about using a worse version of my character. But like you said, there's still really good characters that are strong and modern, but again, they don't have access to everything, so they're losing out on damaging versions. And then, of course, on certain specials, you only get one variation of that special, which is usually the medium version of whatever special move it is.
mhm.
So it may not be the most optimal version. Like I looked at Modern Terry, that's not the same character. It ain't the same character.
No.
It's like he's losing out on way too much damage for his combos and routes.
For a character who
He's
already doesn't, yeah, who already doesn't do a whole lot of damage, arguably in certain
Yeah,
situations. So, yeah,
yeah.
it's
He
no,
already has
definitely.
alligator limbs already on his standing fierce. So it's kind of like you try to whip punish with it. They're like, dang, I pressed the wrong button, and they're like literally
Yeah.
right close to you. So it's kind of like things about having more on your kit for your character to be effective. And I think again, modern is a good segue into learning how to play the game. And I'm glad that they implemented it. I'm glad that it was an option. Now, I always thought that this scenario in my head would be different. It was like, okay, so what if Street Fighter Six didn't have modern? That affect the entire player base.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
that would the numbers be the same? And
I
my answer. You know what my answer was? Answer was yes, it would. I think it would definitely change without modern. Without modern, it wouldn't be as many people playing the game. I'm gonna now. I
I
can I can I can segue. I can talk about that, but yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
no, I mean, I can kind of agree and disagree with that. I would argue, I think there would definitely be less people who would try the game, maybe. Um, but I don't know. I mean, I think just as a product overall, I think Street Fighter 6 has just been significantly better than the rest of the other modern fighting games. I think it's a lot easier to get into with World Tour, with a battle hub and all that. And I think even if only classic was an option, I would definitely I can definitely see the argument that there would be less people. Would it be a significant drop? I don't know. Um I don't ever see as many people playing modern, even when I'm running around playing against low level people. Whenever I do my every one of my characters to master, even if it might be putting me against diamonds and whatnot, I so rarely ever run into modern players. Um, I don't know how bad the trenches are. Maybe I remember going through like the lower ranks, and there were definitely a decent amount of modern players, but that was also when the game first came out. So it's I don't know. That's definitely an interesting thought, right? On how much has modern actually affected everything. I do think that they dropped stats for um how many people were using modern comparatively to classic. But to be fair, a lot of those stats were also like how many people played like modern for a little bit and then dropped the game entirely, right? Like how many people are still playing the game, right, and are still playing modern is kind of like the big thing for me. Like, and how many people genuinely stayed with the game, right? Even if they're not playing modern anymore, right? Like even if they played modern, got them into the game, and then they switched to classic, I think that still contributes to modern being a good aspect as well. But I'd be curious to see those numbers for sure.
Yeah, they I know they do like you said, then they put up those numbers to as those monthly graphs to the shit let you know which characters are at the top of being usage, and then they separate them by control types for classic and modern, which is interesting to see the numbers. But when you think about it, maybe um those moderns might be a little bit more common on the lower hand side versus like may randomly run into a master rank modern Ryu or Ken something every now and then. But
Right.
again, that I think it's a good thing to get people into the game, and I know we're going to see more of that in the future. Heck, like again, what Garrow's doing something similar to that. They call it smart mode, which I think is funny. So it's the direction that the game should be going into to make it a little bit more accessible. I know some may not agree with that, and nobody's trying to do pretzel inputs, man. I'm gonna just be honest with you, Jack.
No, God, no, God, no. Listen, I think like if the whole world changed to being charge inputs and motion and just quarter circle forward inputs, I think the world would be fine.
Yeah.
I don't think the world will end if oh man, I don't have my pretzel input with Geese Howard or some shit. Like I think we're okay. If we can balance that to just be quarter circle forward, I don't think we're gonna lose any sleep. Like all three players will be angry at it, and then everyone else will just move on with their lives. And then it'll also introduce a lot more people in because I 100% agree. Right. I do think that there should be challenging inputs and there should be a skill ceiling for definitely for things, but I'm not against also simplifying things because they're just not greatly designed. So Latin
I mean
America might
those.
be this is true though.
I mean those characters they did get like some of their moves, some of the inputs did get changed. I know for Terry, I think they changed it from like being a charge to motion, and I think it was like vice versa depending on the version of the game you were playing for special moves. So those moves did get adjusted, but I'm talking about like those really complicated inputs that people just having a real time doing. And now that they have a smart version, now you can. I think what was it? You get access to the moves. There's a mechanic you can't do because you're in smart mode.
You can't
I
faint.
think
Yeah.
that's one of the main one thing
You can't faint.
that's a big difference. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a good way of balancing it out. Like you're able to still compete in the game. You're just realize that you don't have access to everything, and you don't get the full package. So you get like a demo version of the character in a way. You get how the character how the character plays in the archetype, right? But you don't get what they can really do if you had that extra mechanic. So I think more fighting games are going to lean towards that, or should lean towards like a variation, like for a simple mode or something like that. I think one of the first games that like had that feature was like Marvel, right? Like Ultimate, like Marvel, like a simple mode or something like that. But I don't think it was
Uh
used.
yeah, but yeah, it was definitely nowhere near as
Yeah, it's nowhere
as
near
everything
as
else.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
but yeah, but overall, yeah, that's definitely a good opinion on that. Now go ahead and segue over to our open panel. Like, is there anything you guys want to talk about before we dive into these ads?
um no, I mean honestly, obviously it's in terms of like overall with Street Fighter and all that, I don't think there's any I think there's always going to be some new heated topic that people will talk about and I guess the only statement I would say in general, I don't know if we want to discuss about it, but like I think people need to understand that there's going to be so many new people joining that have never experienced the same things that we have, being here for a while. And even I don't want to say that I'm like an old head, right? But I have watched enough and I have seen enough and I've researched enough to know and seen the patterns that other people have seen, and I can understand them. And I think people need to learn to be a bit more patient with a lot of the newer crowds, especially with how abrasive a lot of people can be when they're like, "No, this thing is broken and it needs to be taken out of the game." Like, people have been saying that shit for forever. There's just more of a platform to say it now, and I think people need to kind of we need to educate the people and be like and tell them, listen, you think this is bad, but this is how it used to be, right? And then I think that gives people a little bit more perspective. I think helping educate a lot of people on like it could be worse is definitely is an important aspect of the FGC that I think is kind of lost nowadays, because so many people, they're experiencing their own hell on earth now with stuff that is like, what we would consider piecemeal comparatively to some of the BS we saw in Street Fighter 5 or Street Fighter 4, right? Like, it's like you wouldn't have lasted two days with some of the stuff we had to deal with then, and there were less patches back then. Like, I
Back
don't
in
know,
my day.
yeah. And I don't want to old head people, right? I don't want people to be like, "Oh, you youngsters don't understand." Like, I think that's stupid too. But like, I think educating people and making them understand that like it could be worse, man. Like, just wait. They could fix it. So just chill. If not, deal with it then, right? Like, that's just how it is. Play something else, honestly. So,
I mean, now we're in a more social media friendly era where communication is much more accessible between devs and like people. So, if enough people report it, they'll eventually take a look at it and see what can be done and get it fixed. That's all you got to do is just post a couple of clips, tag a few people, and you're good to go.
yep.
There it is. Oh,
Yeah.
like we noticed that it was reported that this we have made this certain adjustments, and now see what the complaint was. Now you see it in the patch notes. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
there it
100%.
is. We're the live feed testers for this.
Yeah, true. I
Field
mean,
testers for this.
Tekken's got the whole thing for that. Yeah, so
Yep.
100%.
All
That's
right.
crazy.
Hey, no problem. Is yeah, retro. Anything on your end before we dive into these ads?
No, you know what? I am good. It was it was good to hear from Hispanics perspective about the community, and like even for the few times I saw the stream team battle streams and stuff, I can tell like y'all guys really have it hold it down, and that community part really is definitely shining through. So keep doing what you're doing, man, and definitely try to get more of our guys to hop in the teams and stuff. Because we did ask about a team reboot one day. So yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, I'm totally up for that kind of stuff, and I appreciate it, man. 100%.
Yeah. Well,
With that being said, we're gonna segue over to our ads.
yeah.
Retro, what you got on your end?
So we don't have that much, but of course, an upcoming event that's happening for November. The Street Fighter Watts. We are Swag On Nerds is hosting their Nerds Cup on number 10 actually, and they're going to be at Reboot. And of course, the fun part about it is going to be $100 pot for each game. So of course, you see the cost that for venue and game fee is cheap to enter and high payout. So definitely, you get at least third place. That's a good $10 to get your money back, and who knows, get even a little bit more. But definitely come through on November 16th, that Saturday, for that tournament for Nerds Cup. We're doing our tournament circuit. I wish I could have more details right then and there, but we do have the registration for our finals in March already happening. So that registration is open. Check our Discord. Let me know, and I'll make sure the link is posted up, and I'll try to tweet it and everything as well. But yeah, that's it. And the only thing I saw for December so far on a bigger scale, of course, the Sea Otaku number 8 that's held in Orlando, Florida. So if you like a lot of the good anime, non-mainstream fighting games, I would say at times. But of course now everything is slowly pushing to that mainstream. But some games you don't see as often. You have some Gundam, you have the Persona Arena, you have the Idol Showdown, those type of games. If y'all want to get into those games, and there's a big major event for you, so go there from December 20th to the 22nd in Orlando, Florida. It's gonna be a little nippy outside, maybe, but definitely at least enjoy that good weekend for those tournament series. And plus, there's plenty of other things like Street Fighter, Tekken 8, and Skullgirls going on, and maybe other fun activities. I'm thinking there's gonna be some karaoke, potential movie night for a certain movie coming out with the Blue Hedgehog. So we and other things, So check that out. Check out the people who was running it. Shouts to Jabali and the Florida crew. And I think that's it for here. But there is something that came up this weekend, and Georgia is doing the big again. I want you to give me just a second. So I'd like to showcase you guys this advertisement. Let's see, intro video. All right, y'all should check this out and see what you think.
Welcome back to Max Mode, Atlanta, Georgia.
Razor, oh my God!
No way.
Oh my God! Getting back to Atlanta again. Yeah, I'm amped for this. Let's go.
Climax! We should be seeing a reset here at Max Mode.
But there you have it. Max Mode. Well, let's shout out Ace. Announce that. It's his thing.
Just follow at data_FGC for more information. When the registration link will be open, man, it was a great experience the first time, and the fact that it got the green light to get approved for a second year is even more amazing. I know the people who were missed out on the first time, they said, "Oh man, if you guys do this again, I'm definitely coming through." This is their opportunity here for sure. And this event is it's a great event, man. It's still grassroots. It's homegrown. It's I love it. I love it. I love it. I'll definitely will be back for sure. I think last year I did commentary, and then I did the side games. I ran two of the side games there for Street Fighter 5 and Street Fighter 4. Shout out to FTC Chris. He entered the bracket for 5 there. He got pretty far. I think he was top 8 on that event. And yeah, we're just gonna we're gonna run it back, yo. Run it back and have even more fun, man. I hope to see even more new faces come through, and it'll be a good time. So once the registration link is up and ready to go, yeah, we'll be in the building. I think they're also doing like they'll get the volunteer information up too as well for commentary or vendors or um, any other information that's needed. They'll have that information up once it's ready. But yep, Max Mode 2025 is indeed a go, and I cannot wait for that. But once again, I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in, man. Do appreciate you guys on that support. We're only going to keep growing, only going to keep and bigger from here. We already have episode 6 in the works. That's crazy, right? Like I have to, I have to manage through guests, and I have to like check schedules and make sure things line up. So once again, I thank Hispanic so much dedicating his time to talk with us for a few hours and get his thoughts on this, that, and the third. And hope you guys, if you guys are tuning late, once again, this will be archived for your listening pleasure. So whether you're working, cooking, cleaning, throw the podcast on, listen to some good words from Hispanic, and he'll drop some knowledge for you. But with that being said, we're out the door here. Hispanic, where can the good people find you at?
Yeah, man. My personal Twitter is anim_Nick, at anim_Nick, so like animation underscore Nick. And the STB Discord or Twitter is at STB Division. So if you ever want to check out what's happening there, we always post all the trailers. I always post all the trailers and whatnot on the STB Division X, whatever, Twitter X. um, so if you're ever curious on when stuff is going on, it like the announcements for the trailers are there. I probably have to be a little bit better at like saying like, hey, signups are live on Twitter, but you can find me there. You can find us at where we actually stream, which is Stream Team Battle X on Twitch. We stream every other Friday generally, but we have a huge influx of teams coming in now, so we'll be streaming basically whenever those teams are available to play. So that might be on a Monday, might be on a Wednesday. We'll always put up announcements on the Twitter specifically, but Fridays, every other Friday, will always be consistent as a open event happening. So always be on the lookout for that. But yeah, join the Discord. And again, thank you guys so much for having me on here. It's been a pleasure.
For sure, man. Retro, where can the good people find you at?
Wherever you can. I'm on Twitter, SirRetro08, as well as Instagram, Facebook, and a few other social medias, Thread as well, in addition. So you can find me in those various social medias. Just look me up and reach out to me. Or Discord as well. We have the Middle Georgia FGC Discord. Like I said, of course, you can find me wherever you can. Let me know. Any questions, and you just want to talk, want to meet up, want to play games, anything, yeah, I'll try to be around. But like I said, thanks again to Hispanic at the Disco for being here as an awesome special guest, and keep doing what you're doing. You and the Stream Team Battle crew, shout outs to y'all for sure.
Of course, brother. Thank you.
Indeed. You guys can check me out on the X at Mind of Shadow Ace on there. In addition to, if you guys follow me, I'll just post up whichever venture I might be into, whether it's commentating or playing in an event. I can kind of be active on posting on there. That's kind of like my main social media platform for right now here. And, we'll see what happens. I could possibly be on the lineup for a future, Stream T League for the commentary. One day. We'll work that out in the future. No spoilers right now, but we'll see what happens. But with that being said, we're out the door here. GG's again, the Hispanic at the Disco for joining us. Shouts to Retro on the production, as always. And Retro, where are you going to send the good people?